benign ones, thou who art chosen from the beginning to be as the only begotten of the Father, I am come tonight into your force field to bring to you a sense of your soul's unfolding as does a flower. The bud of your own God self is waiting to unfold, and you are expected to respond to the vibratory action of this Christ mantle, which from within out seeks to array you in immortal garments of strength, power, purity, adoration, and complete realization that God is all and in all, with a sense of the completeness of divinity. I wish to tell you tonight that there is a golden thread woven through every circumstance of your lives, which is not always apparent because it is underwoven between other threads, and it seems to disappear for a moment from your view. But nevertheless, that golden thread of perfection is ever present with each of you, and it assists you in finding, if you will pursue it, the way back home, the way back to the victory, the glory, the purity, and the power of the cosmic Christ and of the Buddha. You, blessed ones, seated upon the lotus throne of your own heart, may unfold your latent divinity with all of the safety of a Buddha and of a Christ. The opportunity is yours. No man can take from you this crown. No one can defraud you of this opportunity except yourselves, by feeling that you are unworthy, by feeling that you are unwilling, by feeling that you are not chosen. And yet I, Lord Maitreya, have assured you in full faith that each of you and all of mankind were chosen to express the fullness of God upon earth. Take then this opportunity, consider it most precious, and so the Spirit of God shall so exalt you as to bring you into our presence at night while your physical form sleeps, and confer upon you those cosmic initiations which will raise you and set you apart from mankind as a peer in heaven's eternal courts. Oh, how mankind love and adore, even to this hour, titles and nobility. And yet I tell you of a truth, the greatest titles and nobility of all are waiting to be conferred by heaven itself upon mankind. And when they are given and bestowed by God, no man can part you or sunder you from them, for they are your eternal portion and inheritance. Now, O cosmic fire, blaze thou within these children, intensify within them the mantle of life's perfection, the unfolding radiance of their purity and of their budding divinity. Let this light so expand within the force field of their being that they shall, from this night on, be able to give to all they meet a greater than ordinary love, the love of God without limit, the love of the ascended masters, the example of the sacred fire in physical manifestation. I thank you and bid you good evening.
l'aurora di bianco vestita, già l'uscio dischiude al gran sole, di già con le rose sue dita, carezza dei fiori lo stuole, commosso da un fremito arcano, intorno al creato già par, e tu non ti desti ed in vano, visto qui dolente a cantar. Metti anche tu la veste bianca e schiudi l'uscio al tuo canatore. Non sai la luce manca ove tu sei, nasce l'amore. Non sai la luce manca ove tu sei, nasce l'amore.
May the light of God enfold each one of you and surround your hearts with an abundance of divine grace, which is not moved by human vicissitudes, but is constant in its application and its devotion to its own divinity. I am come tonight in answer to the heart calls of mankind, to stimulate within the hearts and minds of those who love the light an intense action of the spirit of devotion and adoration. Throughout the kingdom of nature, the motivating force in the elemental kingdom is a spirit of vibrant enthusiasm. This enthusiasm sustains the glorious, rhythmic, beautiful, ceremonial dances of the elementals. In various parts of the world, sensitive individuals are able to see these tiny beings as they caper and dance with happiness in various spots in field and forest. All of this glory, this enthusiasm, this sustained balance is outpictured in the kingdom of nature, that virgin purity which is not despoiled by human concepts or vibratory actions. I am come tonight to stimulate in every mother's heart and in every one of the ladies of heaven upon earth. And I hope that the gentlemen will also find a responsive chord to my message. I am come to stimulate in all a response to adoration to God. I am well aware of the fact that among mankind, with a spirit of so-called dialectic materialism, there is little room for sustained devotion, and it has become old-fashioned, as it were. But I hasten to assure each one of you that the light of God, which never fails, is dependent within men's hearts on this devotion. I do not imply that God depends upon man, but I imply and emphatically state that in order for mankind to have the light of God which never fails blazing forth within them, they are dependent upon a manifestation of adoration and devotion to their presence. For it is devotion and adoration which strengthen the bond between that presence and enlarge the silver cord connecting mankind with their own God presence, thus permitting not only the sustaining vibration which beats your hearts and the continuation of its flow, but permitting an increased flow of divine radiance from your presence down into your world. With this increased energy comes increased responsibility. But the ascended masters have, by divine law, by petitions to the karmic board, by calls to the great karmic board, to beloved Alpha and Omega, they themselves have secured a fiat whereby, as mankind intensify their devotion and their love for God and their presence, they will be given a special quality of the second ray of divine illumination. This illumination will be sustained within them according to the measure of their devotion, so that they will be given the understanding from within the flame of their own heart, which will enable them to know how to utilize the additional flow of energy. This has been granted, and therefore take heart, O mankind, for from this day forward, all of the energy that you draw from your presence by invoking the spirit of adoration and love to that presence will produce a response amplifying the threefold flame within your heart and a corresponding action of the golden flame of illumination, which will enable you or any of mankind to have the direct knowledge from within as to how to use this precious added energy which is to be given your portion. Blessed ones, I am sure that many of you are aware as to the reason why the great cosmic law cut down the flow of God's energy into humans and human creation. It was entirely because of the excesses and abuses of mankind, their wrong use of energy, of thought, and of feeling. And therefore it is now believed that because adoration is such a powerful factor, that individuals will once again be able to expand their light with greater rapidity and responsibility. This is all a part of the golden age. This is all a part of the increasing measure of cosmic attention upon the planet Earth. I know that in your secret chambers, ladies and gentlemen, when you go within to commune with your God source, there are times when some of you are somewhat filled with doubt. I do not mean to imply that you are filled with it, but you at least have a portion of doubt occupying the conscious mind. And in a sense, it is almost as though you were filled with it because you are not able to think positively at that moment. And therefore I hasten to tell you that this doubt must evaporate before the action of the threefold flame within your heart as it expands. And you must come to realize that as you make your application to God, God, who hears and sees and knows all that mankind do, will in turn respond to the calls from your blessed hearts without fail. And this action, which I have described to you this night, the action of intensifying the illumination flame within you is a very precious substance, for it means that you will have God's mind intensified within you, God's direction, the power of the ascended Master speaking directly from within you, the music of the spheres acting directly from within your heart. It means that many of you, while you will not be able to do as this messenger is doing, make direct contact with the ascended masters and permit them to speak through you, will at least have this type of action in connection with your own presence, which means that you will be able to hear the voice of your own presence if you will pour out enough adoration to that presence so that it may fill the cup of your devotion with enough sustaining love until the mind of God, the mind of Christ, the mind of the ascended masters occupies the place now occupied by fears, doubts, trepidations, and vacillations. O blessed ones, pause for a moment and think of the many upon earth who do not know of the ascended masters, who do not know of our love and our efforts on behalf of mankind. Are these any less the beneficiary of our love and radiation? I tell you no, except they do not have the conscious knowledge and therefore cannot make the diligent application which you are able to make. Therefore, as a response to the great cosmic law, I am certain that many of you will desire to give a more than ordinary service to the light because of the great responsibility which is given you as we bestow upon you tonight this precious gift. Know also that this gift is not only given here, it is given wherever there is a focus of ascended master light and love. The power of the ascended masters is universal, and I, Nada, by reason of my heart's love, have cause to express my gratitude to beloved Charity and to others of the ascended masters who enabled me to make my ascension in the light. And I pour out my adoration tonight to my own divinity in humble adoring gratitude for this precious ascension which has given me freedom from all human distress and the weights of human creation. I yearn for the day when you too shall wear the robes of freedom and dignity which I wear. I yearn to take my own garments and give each of you a portion of those garments tonight. I would reach down and take my train, which is beautiful pink in color, and I would take that train and ask the invisible angelic host to sunder it from my garment tonight and divide it up into many small segments and give it to you in your finer bodies, that you may have the love radiation which I feel tonight and the adoration which I feel tonight for my own presence. And thus, shorn of a part of my own raiment for the sake of sharing my love for heaven, I stand tonight magnifying the love light within my heart and your own. And I call now to Alpha and Omega in the great central sun. O Alpha and Omega, thou radiant beings of pure light, I, Nada, ask you by the power of the sacred fire to intensify a cosmic action of love within these thy children and the children of the sacred fire everywhere. Let them feel the power of charity and charity's radiance this night, as I myself did long ago, and magnify, O Alpha and Omega, within the hearts of these thy children, an intense action of divine love, which shall so expand their understanding of that love that they shall never again entertain fear, doubt, or confusion concerning the perfect divine plan of light and light's perfection. Oh, I thank thee with my heart's gratitude, Alpha and Omega. I and all of the ladies of heaven together give our gratitude to thee, thou eternal one, and to the Father, the supreme light, the ineffable God presence of all universes without end, for all the mighty I am presence is to each life stream. This power of knowing, this power of being, this power of progressing until we behold the light of the infinite shining upon the vast cosmic sea, and we know that across that shining sea there is the lotus throne of the eternal presence, and we know that the perfume of that presence is permeating all of mankind's affairs and floods like the light of the stars across vast expanses of the heaven, causing the universe to be held together by the cohesive power of God's love. O Infinite One, conscious then of thy splendor, we behold thee situated within the heart, the beating heart of the most humble among God's children. And we see thee, Gloria in excelsis Deus. We see the glory of God in the highest, magnified within the hearts of these humble individuals who seek to render a transcendent service of prayer and adoration to God, not only here, but throughout the various religious activities of the world. And we call for their divine illumination, that they may come into a spirit of perfect unity, not only within themselves, but within the heart of all in creation, until the sense of divine unity not only penetrates the atoms of each individual's physical form, but expands within their feeling world, their mind, and their memory, until there is no room within the inn of their being for aught except thy perfection to manifest. I am Nada, your cosmic sister, who loves you, O people of the earth, and children of the light in Boston, with the transcendent love. I would like to point out the progress of the cosmic clock. As your physical watches are ticking off the hours and guiding you, O mankind, to tell you that it is time for you to eat, time for you to sleep, time for you to serve and to love, so I tell you the Creator's clock, the divine schedule of mankind's progress, has long chimed the hour for mankind's perfection, and the day is here and has passed when mankind can afford to sleep. You will recall the apostles who had walked with beloved Jesus over the dusty roads of Palestine. You will recall how they had observed the miracles performed by his hand. They had observed him raise Lazarus from the dead. They had observed him cast out the dumb spirits and rebuke the spirits of imperfection from mankind. They had seen him cleanse the lepers. And yet when the hour came that materialism in its grossness came out against him with swords and staves and spears, those individuals forsook him and fled. And when he asked them to watch and pray with him in the Garden of Gethsemane, those individuals who had accompanied him upon his mission found that they were unable to remain awake, although he spoke unto them and rebuked them, saying, Could not ye watch with me 1 hour, as I am the Choan of the 6th ray, succeeding beloved Jesus? I would like to point out that the cosmic clock indicates to mankind the seriousness of the voice of opportunity. Beloved Portia joins me this night in directing her energies into this room and sanctuary and force field to exalt you, mankind, and to exhort you to accept with greater measure the opportunity which life affords you to assist mankind, your presence, the ascended masters, and the forces of light in overcoming the grossness of human ignorance. These activities of light, such as the Summit Lighthouse, are created, sustained, and blessed by us as an impersonal vehicle through which mankind can band together and express their adoration to God, and can hear the voices of the ascended masters speaking to the present day and exhorting mankind to obedience to the great cosmic law of love. Mankind today enjoy hearing a beautiful orchestra and sitting in adoration to the spirit of music. Let them listen then as the Master of divine love speaks to them and holds the baton in his hand. Let them listen to our Lord Maitreya as he directs to them the power and pressure of his great cosmic love. I nada thank you this night for your attention, and I call to you and exhort you to diligence, to a sustained spirit of obedience, to an acknowledgement of the victory of your presence as superior and above all human ideas to the contrary, a spirit that is able to be a victorious overcoming for each life stream, that shall enable you to overcome sickness, enable you to overcome sin, enable you to rise above death, and to cut the cords that bind you to the physical octave until you ascend in divine majesty into the self-same realm of light's perfection in which I abide. I nada thank you. I bless you. I sustain my vibration for 24 hours from my speaking within this force field of this sanctuary, and I bless the people of the entire earth with a transcendent ray of ruby and gold, the ministration ray of ordered service, devotion, love, strength for God. And I turn you over to hear a few words in closing from Lord Maitreya. Thank you, and good evening. being shall be known by mankind. But you can rest assured that when they come to the stage where they are able to assist the world shall know them, each and every one, for they are truly magnificent. And this is my announcement to the Darjeeling Council, who have long called for assistance. Also, I would like to speak to the students who have long called for the Ascended Masters to step into the visible octave of earth. And I tell you that this is the first step. This is a step where great cosmic beings are actually stepping into physical embodiment for a purpose. There is a reason behind this, a vast cosmic reason. And this precedes the time when the Ascended Masters themselves shall step from octaves of light into visible form. For these are ray showers to show mankind how to perfect, not only in the social evolution but in the spiritual evolution, their own worlds, and direct mankind more and more to the power of their own I Am presence and their great cosmic being, the unfolding Christ within themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. It is up to you to assist those mothers this day by calls to God, that a perfect channel shall be prepared so that there shall be a minimum of pain or travail, and that they shall be able to assist these children in the proper training to bring out the fullness of the light that is within their heart at a very early age. Thank you, and I return you now to my beloved consort, the beloved Sanat Kumara. Thank you, my beloved one. Gracious people of earth, you do not know the meaning of this day in your outer consciousness. As time passes, you will come to realize it more, and the people of this earth will more fully realize the meaning of this day. It is not the birth of one Christ, but of many, and it is the direct intermediation and assistance of the cosmic light into human affairs. One of these great beings that shall be born here was a great prince in a former civilization in South America, and his work shall be to assist the great divine director in bringing in the magnificent seventh race until the completion of all that mankind have longed for centuries shall be brought about in this magnificent golden age now dawning. O mankind of earth, let not the terrors of fear or the doubts and uncertainties of Thomas or any other discordant manifestation enter into your worlds. Accept rather the fullness of the meaning of this to the dignity of mankind in your own personal worlds, and thus you shall assist the cosmic travails which bring into mankind, into manifestation, the perfection and fullness of God Himself. I thank you, and I thank the Darjeeling Council. I thank the mankind of earth. I thank the people of our planet. And above all, I thank the magnificent, mighty I Am presence in the great central sun for the energies and the love bestowed by cosmic grant upon the people of earth, the infinite patience with their vicissitudes and their vacillations. And I pray that now that each new day as it dawns will make the student body of the Summit Lighthouse and all spiritual activities more aware of their own responsibility to maintain the harmony within their bodies, within their minds, within their consciousness, and be those examples which they are destined to become in this day and age, that more of mankind may come to this light and the peace, perfection, purity, and wholeness of their own mighty I Am presence, which is actually a ray connected with the great central sun, the presence of Almighty God, I thank you and bid you good afternoon. Most gracious ones, I am come tonight in a reverent sense of divine unity, which is beauteous in itself, for wherever a spirit of unity dwells and abides, by the law of infinite harmony, individuals are able to sense their own divinity. With the appearance of discord, it is as though someone were to take a paintbrush and daub it across the canvas of life and remove that painting upon the easel which was placed there by the master painter and substitute chaos for beauty. Each one of you are aware, I am sure, of the full meaning of harmony if you will separate yourselves in thought from your own human and mundane form, from your outer ideas, the weight of your body, a sense of your human personality, your idea of placement in time and space, and the idea that you are not now a divine personage, but are a person relegated to a place of lesser perfection. If you will separate yourself from this idea and will consider yourselves now as you are, sons of God, splendidly shining and radiant, I am certain that it will enable you to hold a vision comparable to the vision which God holds for each and every one of you. And if you hold, blessed ones, an image that is akin to the divine one, so that within your consciousness there is invoked a spirit of light's perfection, then I am certain that by the cosmic law your outer self shall outpicture that which is within. When there is an intrusion between the inner perfection of the inner spheres and the outer, there is a mist which forms between the consciousness of the light and the projected image, and therefore upon the screen of life a dim shadow of the beauty that could be appears. When mankind cease to stand in their own light, and they remove the impediments to their progress and their perfection in life, they will all manifest the same spirit of Christ obedience, Christ reverence, Christ dedication, and Christ victory. One of the particularly impressive images that comes to my mind now is my first experience in attending an ascended master function after my ascension. Ladies and gentlemen, I realize that the mankind of earth have the wrong conception of our way of life. They seem to feel that because we are ascended beings, that we are bereft of beauty and dwelling in some sort of a misty world of unreality. I hasten to assure them that this is the farthest from the truth. For we dwell in a realm of more exquisite perfection. If there is a cameo image of a beautiful Greek child or a Grecian woman upon a table here in earth, I hasten to assure you that that same image in our sphere would have none of the human distortions, but it would reflect in the pure light of God the image as it was held in the etheric mind of the artist at the time it was executed, as the rays of divine transcendent light poured forth from that artist's own God presence and gave him the original conception of light's perfection. This type of perfection is that which mankind must learn to draw forth if they will express it. In other words, beloved ones, rather than pay heed to the outer distortions and ideas, the whisperings of the carnal mind, and the thoughts and vain imaginings of men's hearts, if you will turn to your own great divine source, and looking there with a constant gaze, call to your mighty I am God presence and say, Mighty God presence of me, reveal the beauty, the perfection, the light, and the glory of my Christ image to me, and reveal it now, and reveal to me the perfect outpicturing of light for every one whom I meet, and enable me to hold for them an immaculate concept of divine perfection. I am certain, ladies and gentlemen, that the presence will reply, and that reply will have all of the dignity of heaven's love, all of the compassion of the Christ, all of the perfection of God in redundant manifestation, and none of you shall feel that you are lacking in any good and gracious gift. I therefore recall that upon my first occasion when I attended an ascended master function, I was quite amazed at the beauty of the antechamber where this entertainment was taking place. For I wish to specifically state to you that it was an entertaining occasion when the ascended masters of the great karmic councils came together to discuss spiritual matters concerning the welfare of this planet. And if marble halls and presidential palaces and palaces of kings can be said to reflect beauty, and I am certain that they do, then I tell you that beauty was paltry and would pale into insignificance beside the glory of that antechamber. And I recall my thoughts, for as I walked into this great hall, I said to my own beloved God presence, O thou magnificent God presence, I am so grateful for the opportunity of beholding thy eternal perfection mirrored in living light substance, and no longer subject to the carnal mind or the imperfection of mortality. And as I looked upon it, my gratitude mounted to my presence for the thought that I should forevermore behold that love and that perfection. And as I have the soul of an artist, I am sure that those of you who have a soul responsive to the divine art will realize that in absolute cosmic hope the Father himself, the greatest artist of all, the great divine mighty I Am presence in the great central sun, conceived all of his creation to be a thing of beauty and a joy forever. And therefore, in that divine sense, I urge upon all of you a seeking of the eternal treasures of heaven by trying to realize with your own God-given minds, even while yet unascended, that there is a perfection shining behind the veil of mortality, and that this perfection can be contacted. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you are aware that while I am speaking to you, the mighty Elohim, Arcturus, himself has descended in the midst of the city? How many of you are aware that he is blazing light rays throughout the land of America and throughout this entire continent tonight to preserve this continent from a wave of destruction which was launched against it unknown to mankind in the outer world except for a few individuals? How many realize that Arcturus has descended with the light of 1,000 suns, and tonight stands the guardian presence of America's heart? Oh, blessed and beloved ones, you ought to give eternal gratitude to Saint Germain for his constant watchfulness over America and over America's heart. You ought to give constant gratitude to Saint Germain for his love of freedom for the earth, and the love and devotion which he pours out to each and every one of the students of this activity, and all the constructive activities of light, which in God's eyes are always one: immortality. Oh, beauteous and wondrous idea! I would sing an ode in my heart to thee, the idea of forever adoring God, forever beholding good, and forever knowing that I am the perfect outpicturing of that eternal good. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, do not let any outer condition prevent you from entering into the freedom of your divine presence. Do not let fear or doubt or jealousy or outer disturbing conditions enter your world. Stand guard and protect the beauteous sanctuary that is within your being. Magnificent Cuzco, the magnificent cosmic being, recently released through the pearls of wisdom an instruction of protecting mankind against the riptides of life. And I am certain that the response of the student body has been most gratifying. I am particularly concerned with the students' use of that particular decree because it helps to maintain a spirit of harmony within their hearts. And if harmony abides there, beauty abides there, for they are synonymous. God, harmony, beauty, love, life, strength, health, all are synonymous with one unity, the unity and perfection of your presence. Perfection, ladies and gentlemen, contains all the qualities of God, because all the qualities of God are perfect. And because they are perfect, you see, they are all alike, because they are manifestations of divine perfection. Although mankind have named them and given them different names, yet actually they are one unity, and yet they are a variegated manifestation of that unity here upon this planet and in the hearts and minds of mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, as I take my leave of you tonight, I wish to urge each and every one of you to let nothing hinder you from accepting the full beauty and perfection of your world. Will you please be seated? I am most grateful, gracious ones, for those of you who stood, but it is best that either all of you stand or all of you remain seated in order to prevent a breaking of the cosmic pattern established during the time when these dictations are rendered. And so I trust that you will understand and will feel in no sense a rebuke of your individual life streams, for you are magnificent children of the light, and I love each and every one of you. Dear ones, when the sun shines in its strength at noonday, who could capture that blazing light and put it upon canvas? And yet the memory of man is able to realize the meaning of noonday. When the full dawn of the cosmic light comes, it will flood the earth with the golden radiance of God's golden age. And then this blessed earth shall once again take on the true art of divine knowledge, and all else shall pass away and fade into a pile of discard, there to be transmuted, released from manifestation in the outer world, return to the great central sun for repolarization and release as life's energy to bless this planet and other portions of the great solar system and universes without end. The cosmic scheme goes on and on and on, for the universe is vast and infinite. But we of the Ascended Master's octave continue to sing our ode to immortality, for immortality itself is endless, and the hope of an endless good is ever present with us. Therefore, shed all that is not good from your words, and you shall enter into a spirit of beauty and perfection, which will enable you to reach the crest tide of life, which leads to your own individualized ascensions. I recall many years ago, after my ascension, of how I had the opportunity of examining some of the etheric records of the minds of great artists through the centuries. One of these artists, and I do not choose for personal reasons to reveal his name, dwelled for many years upon the idea of beloved Mother Mary's ascension. And he was able to create at inner levels a painting of her ascension, which so closely resembled the real thing that, according to the etheric records, there was very little difference between this painting which he created in mind and the actual event itself. It was an almost perfect picture of realism. But there is one particular thing I would like to tell you about that. That painting was never completed, for he passed from the screen of life without finishing that grand conception which he had. It remains to the present day, and I hope someone who reads these words in print, or hears this statement made, or hears it upon tape, or in some way is made aware of this fact which I am releasing tonight to you, will undertake to capture upon canvas the true picture which yet remains in the etheric realm of the ascension of Mother Mary. It would be a source of great inspiration to the world, and would exalt in the coming age the idea of the Mother of the world. May divine love seal you forever close to the heart of God. Your own beloved mighty I Am Presence, I, Paolo Veronese, Paul the Venetian, bless you all. In God's name I am, and bid you good evening. Diana, goddess of fire.
my prince, O Rameses, and my fellow citizens of the courts of heaven, I bring you this day the full beauty of the cosmic fire, which is God. The sacred fire, known to the ancients, worshipped and loved, is the life force which brings to every one upon this planet the expectancy of every moment. Were it not for this manifest cosmic fire, which is your life, you would not be individuals, neither would you be able to declare and know that of a truth I am, and therefore, because I am, thou art. Blessed ones, the truth of your I am being, the truth of life, is made known to you by this cosmic fire, by this ever-presence of God within you. Won't you please be seated? Into this force field today, I am bringing the combined radiation of my Prince Orameses and my own. I bring also a great company of devas of the sacred fire, in order that the mankind of earth may have the diamond radiation of that sacred fire flooding forth into the world, into the atmosphere, and into the substance of earth, that that substance may be set free from the discordant patterns which mankind, unwittingly, mind you, have so often impressed thereupon. Just as the discordant music known to mankind as jazz has a bad effect upon even the animal kingdom, so the magnificent Strauss waltzes, which are, in a sense, focuses of the violet fire, focuses of the sacred fire, have a benign and uplifting, a lilting effect upon the mankind of earth. And therefore today it is my wish, in addition to creating an inner action of the sacred fire while I am speaking to you, to also point out and call to your outer attention some of the facets of life to which you ought to give corrective measures, that you might be able to improve your worlds and assimilate some of the life processes which have made us ascended beings. I am come this day with this great company of fire angels to charge into the atmosphere not only of this room and this city, but this entire planet, the fullness and effulgence of the eternal perfection of the sacred spheres, the 7 spheres represented by the great color rays, and those globes of light are interpenetrating one another, and they are focused around this room, so that this entire room is actually held on a pivot point, a crystalline triangle, and this great vast ball is 7 particular specific rainbow colors in manifestation. These color rays are pulsing through the atmosphere of this room to create a specific release in the feeling world of mankind, and the mental world of mankind, and the etheric memory of mankind. The purposes of this fire manifestation this day are to relieve the density in human creation and prepare for the coming age which has begun even last evening. For with the address of beloved Lord Gautama and the release of the great golden spinning wheel thought form, the mankind of earth shall begin to focus greater and greater attention upon their own individual use of the energies which they use and call life. These life energies, which are so precious, that in one sense of the word, a symbol of them can be said to have manifested in the Christ Jesus when he sat and was anointed by the woman with the precious ointment. You will recall that she brake the box and put this ointment upon him and anointed him. and that certain of the disciples who sat by declared that this particular ointment, which was exceedingly costly, could have been sold, and the proceeds given to the poor, that he said to them, The poor ye have with ye always, but me ye have not always. And therefore what this woman has done shall be spoken of as a memorial for her to all succeeding generations. And this, blessed ones, is the immaculate Christ concept of every individual upon earth. And when mankind shall have the great esteem to remember that the poor they have with them always, as long as they are conscious of the fact that they are dwelling in limitation, but the Christ is not always with the physical, they will come to understand that the human creation shall not always exist in its impoverished and pitiful condition, but that someday the one who was and is to come, the universal Christ in manifestation, shall replace these human concepts of God. Blessed ones, have you ever paused to think that you are a human concept of God? Now, in truth, you are a concept of God, and therefore you are the fullness of the divine concept. But it is your own concept, your own thought of yourself, which has prevented the full manifestation of this life, light, and love, which you truly are. Won't you now please be seated? It has been the wish of beloved Saint Germain to bless you this afternoon, that when you stood, while these great globes of fire were pulsing around, you were able to absorb through the spinal axis of your individual feeling worlds certain of the fire element, which substance shall pass up and down the spinal column of each one of you, and shall cause through the sympathetic nervous system certain cosmic reactions, destined to give you an attunement with the music of our spheres, the internal melodies of the soul, that you may be able to hear in the inner world of light, life, and love the sound of God's eternal perfection manifesting in the fire element, which is the true center of your being. The outer nature of mankind is ephemeral. It is ever and constantly changing. If you were able to observe it from our levels, you would see the magnificent and perfectly gorgeous color display which is within the core of the great individual orbit of mankind. And then you would see clustered around it shadowed substance, vague and vapory condensations of matter and debris, which prevent the beauty of the inner spheres from pulsating and passing out into the world of outer expression. When there is a transmutation and a removal of those conditions, it is quite natural that an individual life stream, rather than be a pulsating radiant sphere, clouded and surrounded around by dense substance, becomes a blazing sun. And then the rays of light come from the very center of that one's being at every angle of the periphery and manifest outwardly in absolute 360-degree angles everywhere. Some of you who are astronomically inclined will understand what is perpendicular to the plane of the ellipse, and you will understand the meaning of the complete manifestation, the full-orbed radiance of God. Mathematically speaking, it is easy for you to envision a sun shining in its strength, and therefore if you are to cloud or place a sunspot anywhere upon this sun that is you, it will prevent the rays from passing out at that particular point on the periphery of your being. Because it is the divine intent that you should be complete and manifest the full-orbed luminosity of your being, it is my desire that there shall be a removal and a transmutation of all elements which have condensed themselves into your physical substance, into your brain substance, into your mental consciousness, into your feeling and emotional world, and completely through all that is you. Blessed ones, have you stopped to pause and consider that you are gods of your own solar system, that you are manifestations of the eternal universe, that within you there is all that heaven requires to produce a perfect world? You have often felt and thought that you were a small, infinitesimal individual, walking around like a speck of dust in a vast cosmic sea. Blessed ones, this is not so. The glorious light rays which you manifest from within, if they are not impeded by human substance, will reach to the farthest corners of the universe and enter directly into the heart of God from whence they came. And then there is a completion of that arrow of divine beingness which is sent out into the universe when you first drew your mortal form and were created as an individual expression of God. I, Diana, in the name of my Prince Orameses, in the name of God I am, come to you today to seal the world in the fullness of the fire element, the element of divine love. And therefore I am calling today to the beloved Chohans of the rays to stand round about this sanctuary and focus upon it their own individual rays. Lord Moria El, focus here thy blue ray of power, and let the power ray, the surge of the will of God, be made known within each beating heart. Beloved Lanto, blaze forth the great illumination ray, the yellow ray, the sunshine yellow of divine illumination upon every heart. Beloved Paul, the Venetian master, blaze forth thy pink light rays upon every heart here, that divine love, the soft pink feeling of buoyancy, may be made known to all. O eternal Serapis, enduring with the pyramids, may the white fire illumination that blazes forth from thy fear amid come now amidst these thy people, and manifest throughout the earth the perfection of the ascended master race. America, how I love you. O beloved one, O beloved Nada, O beloved Hilarion, O beloved Saint Germain, stand also around this room. Hilarion, blaze forth the healing green, the great spiritual abundant power that creates by the process of photosynthesis the food and substance for mankind, the alchemy of divine healing. Produce an inner, outer, and complete healing for all mankind. Teach the secret sciences in this golden age to mankind. Let the nursing profession be benefited. Let the doctors and scientists be benefited. Let the metaphysical practitioners be endowed with new power and new understanding of the spiritual laws. Let mankind in the healing arts no longer venerate their own art to the exclusion of one another, but let them complement one another in the alchemy of divine unity and perfection rather than the schism of divisive substances. And now, O beloved Nada, O beloved Nada, blaze forth the ruby and the gold ray. Illumine these with the circlets, the cosmic fire bands of light, the ruby and the gold, the ministrations of the priesthood of light. And let these thy people know the meaning of the sacred fire element within their religious activity, that they may no longer suffer a lack of spiritual communion, that there may be no mere drinking of the Lord's Supper and an abomination in the eyes of God, which lacks in the communion with the eternal substance. O blessed and beloved ones, hear the messages of the Chohans of the seven rays. O Sanctus Germanus, Saint Germain, beloved holy brother, thou who gave thyself to be the king for the next 2,000 years, blaze forth thy great sacred fire of transmutation, the perfect beauty of the divine ritual, and flood it into the keepers of the flame and into all spiritual identified beings and people and organizations, that they may manifest the full beauty of this golden age. O Chohans, also sacred. Take dominion now in the hearts of all mankind. And I call now to the 7 archangels. I call to Michael, prince of the archangels, to take his great cosmic sword of blue and cut you all free from discordant substance forever. Accept it forever and be forever free. O beloved Cassiopeia, blaze forth thy beauty and thy illuminating power. O beloved Elohim Cassiopeia, O beloved Elohim all, thou 7 Elohim, thou 7 archangels, pour out thy substance one and all. It seems as though the patience of heaven can scarcely wait for the manifestation of all the beauty and perfection you bring in this golden era, symbolized by the spinning wheel, when mankind learn to weave by their life energies and the power of the golden thread that garment which is symbolical of Christ in vesture. Mankind arrayed in flaming garments of life, light, and love eternal shall no longer know the limitation and the lack which causes them to feel the need to exalt their egos above one another in a sort of lack of cooperation and a feeling of jealousy and malice. Mankind, free from this, shall know the superabundance of their own divinity, the power of instantaneous precipitation to draw forth from the sacred fire as the ascended masters do, when these individuals shall drop from their consciousness the idea of competition. Competition, the bane of human existence. O blessed ones, there is a par excellent idea where an individual seeks the greater and more excellent way, the charity of God. You have heard of faith, hope, and charity, and I am calling while you are standing for the great rays of faith, hope, and charity to shed themselves fan-like upon this audience, that the sacred fire of faith in the eternal principles and eventual destiny of each life stream may be made known to your hearts. I place there like a fire acorn, a great oak, symbolical of the greatness that is in each and every one of you. I place there, even I, Diana, goddess of fire, filled with the fire element, filled with a vast cosmic power which tinkles the aeolian harps of space and reaches into the heart of every archangel. I am the goddess of fire, the sacred fire of Almighty God. I am the consort of beloved Oramus, prince of the fiery element, and because he has stood in abeyance today, I am now calling for him for a moment to flash forth his great fire element into your world, and he shall temper it to the shorn lambs of human identity, lest you be consumed on an instant by the great fire breath of Oramus. O Prince Oramus, blaze forth now thy sacred fire into these people, and let them feel the great eternal heat which melts and transmutes individual self-conscious and ridiculous human identification and replaces it by the fullness of the angelic perfect body of the Divine One, the all-hallowed eternal being of God Almighty, who alone has the power and dominion, the glory, and the righteousness for all the earth. In the name of Almighty God, will you please be seated? I stand aside now for a moment for beloved Saint Germain, who desires to speak a few words to you. My beloved friends, a historical event has taken place. For the first time in 2,000 years, a great fire being from the very heart of God has shattered human substance in a manner you do not dream of. And the full-blown momentum of the sacred fire has entered and penetrated into the heart's core of a number of life streams upon this planet, and will assist them from this day forward until they ascend in bodies of light like the blessed Jesus and others of the ascended masters. In honor of this historic occasion, when the fire substance has been released as it was upon Atlantis and Lemuria long ago, and this is known to all the priests of the sacred fire, I am calling this to your attention, that all of you may stand and may listen while this precious life stream, together with the other precious life stream, once again sing to Diana. Stand then in honor of that blessed being, Diana, the goddess of fire, I, Saint Germain, requested of all of you. And I thank you, and I bless you, and I bid you good afternoon. And following this moment, Diana will once again return to conclude her address. Peace, beloved ones. I am with you always. Mr. Chagnon, beloved Diana requests you to come to the front of this room. O son of Heliopolis, the blessing of the Most High be upon thee, thy priesthood of love and light at inner levels is beauteous, is glorious, and I, Diana, in the name of Almighty God, say that thou art a priest of the sacred fire forever. Will you turn now and face these people? And everyone, please join hands with this blessed soul. Form a circle. Om Ritas, ruler of the violet planet, blaze thy transmutive substance through these life streams, and let them by the fire element find the blessing of Almighty God. Bearing forth the sacred fire I am releasing this day, let them carry it and be fire bearers throughout the earth. And let the earth find, even from this nucleus and those at inner levels, that the power of light eternal shall free this earth in the name of Almighty God. I, Diana, have spoken. Blessed ones, won't you please be seated? Saint Germain has a few more words to say. Precious ones of the unfailing light of God, lest you think these moments strange, let me tell you this, that this messenger did not know when he took this platform what the plan was for this meeting, any more than individuals who open their eyes on a certain day will know what the events of that day will be until they have taken place. You do not know, even now, the full meaning or significance of this act. Melchizedek, priest of the Most High God, without father and without mother, was an ancient member of the sacred fire priesthood. I wish to call attention to those of you here that the historical knowledge of the mankind of earth is so mute and lacking in substance of truth that it has given a very perverted concept to mankind. Unfortunately, they think in terms of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, or 1,000,000 years. Aeons and aeons and aeons of time have passed and shall continue to pass. The priesthood of Melchizedek, the glorious civilizations on other systems of worlds are unknown in the annals of humanity. And so, here in this room today is a mixture, and I smile as I speak it, for here are a cross-section of many evolutions, root races, planetary beings from various systems of worlds. Even in your physical forms, you are not all alike. And therefore, it is not always strange, as it may seem, for you have heard it said that truth is stranger than fiction. And I think this is true. And blessed ones, be at peace. The purpose of this may not even be known to your outer self. But I, Saint Germain, will tell you, if you do not know, beloved Mr. Chagnon, exactly why this has taken place when you either make your ascension or shall meet me. If you wish and desire it enough, at inner levels, even while your body sleeps, you may be able to come to the knowledge of what this really means. Meanwhile, ye people of this city and of other cities, know that this class has accomplished a great deal, and I am satisfied, for with the coming of Diana, a great release of the fire element of transmutation has occurred. The Holy Spirit will now move in strange and divers ways among mankind, and the renewed interest spoken of by Lord Gautama in things spiritual shall create vast changes in the world system this year, as mankind open the door in succeeding years to accept more of the cyclic glory that pours forth from the door now ajar, the octave of light. The great gates of light are swinging wider. The majesty, the beauty, the music, and the loveliness of God is manifesting among mankind. It is not of the idea of some human individual. It is not of limited human concepts. It is not the mind, brain, or thought of this messenger. It is the plan of the divine hierarchy. Those who love the sacred fire, the great white brotherhood, and the plan of heaven held within the arms and heart and being of the great silent watcher, who in the holy name of God holds the immaculate life plan for the planet Earth. Go now today to your homes in peace. Remember, the words of Jesus are a salutation for the entire humanity of the world. And I ask, therefore, that you close this meeting with those words which I will speak, uttering them together in divine concord, in divine unison, for the glory of your individual worlds, the glory of America, and the glory of the United Nations. This is spoken for the glory of God. Please rise. Lo, which means behold, I am with you always. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the age.